You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
So before I get started here, I'm obviously going to need to justify to a portion of my audience why one gorilla versus 100 men is a sport. Because I run a sports channel, so how is this related to sports? Well, I'll have you know, boxing and wrestling in various forms were practiced as early as 3rd millennium BCE in ancient Sumer and Egypt respectively. And boxing was actually included in the Olympic Games in 688 BC, so put down the haterade. Just enjoy the video. It's tangentially related to sports, alright? I can make it work, alright? Alright, so for the purposes of this video, I think we need to establish some ground rules. So obviously, it's a fight. They have to fight. Neither side can just run away. Obviously, that would defeat the purpose of the whole debate. You can't just run away. That makes no sense. Second of all, no weapons. I mean, obviously, men have guns. They could just blow the gorilla away. Once again, that defeats the purpose of the debate. If you pull out the strap and blow off the gorilla's head, obviously, the gorilla loses. That defeats the purpose of the debate. Alright, and now the third and final ground rule. We are fighting a male gorilla, not a female gorilla. Why, you may ask? Well, because we don't fight women. We respect women, alright? Here on the BD1 and Only channel, we respect women. The female gorilla, she can be in the kitchen making a sandwich while the men fight, alright? That's how we roll. Okay, so let's go over some facts. The average gorilla, the average fully grown male gorilla, can be anywhere from 5 feet tall to 5'11", alright? In that range. And they typically weigh anywhere from 300 pounds to 500 pounds. That's a lot of muscle for a fairly normal frame. Now, not all of it is muscle, of course, but if you've ever seen a gorilla, you know they're swole. Alright, now let's take a look at the average height and weight for an adult man in the United States. I'm using the United States because that's where most of my viewers are from, so if you don't like that, well, piss off. Alright, so the average height is 5'9" for an adult man. The average weight for an adult man is 200 pounds. So right off the rip, we already have a weight disadvantage. For the height, we're about the same, but the weight, we are at a major disadvantage right off rip. It's also important to note that gorillas have thicker and denser bones than human beings. They are also more resistant to stress. So basically, gorilla bones don't break as easily as human bones. Human bones are pretty flimsy compared to gorilla bones. Male gorillas also have significantly higher levels of testosterone than male humans. Testosterone is responsible for things like stamina, strength, power, etc. It's also important to note that approximately 40% of adult male humans in the United States are obese. So if you take 100 random men, chances are you're going to have probably about 40 of them be fat fucks. Obese people tend to experience fatigue much faster than people who are not obese. This is a medical fact. I don't think anyone's arguing that point. So after about 3 to 4 minutes, the gorilla really only has to fight 60 men, and that's not including the men he's already torn to shreds. Even if we have a conservative estimate of only tearing 10 to shreds in 3 to 4 minutes, we're left with 50. 50 men that he has to fight. 50 versus 1 is still a tall task, make no mistake about it. But let's not forget, fit people also get fatigued. Just because I said that obese people get fatigued quicker, doesn't mean that fit people don't get fatigued. So those 50 men, they're probably running on about 20% energy. Now, it's important to note that gorillas do not have a higher level of stamina than humans, contrary to what some may think. They have about the same level of stamina as the average man. So the gorilla is probably also pretty fatigued by this point, 3 or 4 minutes in. Now, you might say, oh, that's not that long. In a street fight, that's a long time. If you've ever been in a fight, you know what I mean. It gets you gassed quick. And so 3 to 4 minutes in, the gorilla is probably at about 10 to 20% energy, if I had to take a guess. Gorillas are more built for quick, explosive bursts of energy rather than like stamina for a long duration of time like a marathon runner. Now, it's important to establish what type of fight it actually is. Is it a fight to the death? Or is it a fight where, like in wrestling, if you pin the opponent for 3 seconds, they lose? Now, the second type of fight would be an unfair type of situation for the gorilla, because how is he going to pin 100 men, right? So it would have to almost be a fight to the death. Okay, so in that situation, the men would be able to pin down the gorilla for a certain amount of time because, like I said, the gorilla is good for short bursts of energy. So the 50 men that are remaining in this scenario would be able to pin down the gorilla. But when the gorilla gets that energy back, those men are fucked. And those numbers will slowly dwindle until there is no men left. They're all dead. But Brayden, you say, what if they were able to kill the gorilla before he was able to kill them? Great point. I'm glad you brought that up, imaginary person I made up in my head. Yeah, it could happen. They could suffocate the gorilla. They could choke it out. They could strangle it. Yeah, 50 men could easily do that. But here's what you're not understanding. We as humans are not used to survival situations. We live in relative comfort. Most of us live in cities. The ones who don't live in cities still don't have to worry about predators or things that are going to attack. Wild animals do. So if it's a gorilla that has grown up in the wild, has spent its whole life hunting, has spent its whole life avoiding like jaguars and panthers and different types of predators, then yeah, absolutely, it's going to have that survival instinct. But if it's a gorilla that grew up in a zoo, like Harambe, may God rest his soul, it's not going to have that same level of like survival instinct, but it might be buried down deep within. And as soon as it feels like its life is in danger, that's where its real power comes out. It is going to go apeshit, no pun intended. It is going to go crazy. Like, it wants to survive. It has that survival instinct buried down deep within it. And maybe humans do too, but we don't have near the strength that a silverback gorilla does. We just don't. I'm sorry, we don't. And so I think that the 100 men would have a better shot against a gorilla that's in captivity because, you know, that survival instinct might be dulled quite a bit. Plus, it's probably not getting as much exercise, so it might be a fatter gorilla. But I think that even still, the captivity gorilla would just edge out the 100 men. But a wild gorilla, no chance, dude, no chance. The 50 remaining men that we already established are left after the obese men go, and after that 10 that the gorilla will destroy in the 3 to 4 minutes that it has that short burst of energy. 50 remaining men, it would take a bit longer for them to go, but one by one they would die. And I just don't think that there's a way. I mean, if you even try and get close enough to a gorilla to strangle it or to suffocate it or to crush its head, it's not going to let you get that close. It's going to absolutely tear your throat out. And it doesn't matter how tired it is, it's still going to want to survive. The majority of discourse I've seen about this subject seems to think the 100 men would win. I think this is just hubris. This is just human hubris. Ignorance, hubris, and overconfidence is what it is. The gorilla wins every time. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you hated it, leave a dislike. But either way, you know, comment for the algorithm and get me to 1,000 subscribers so I can start making money on YouTube. Thanks so much for the support I've been getting on this channel. I appreciate you guys more than you'll ever know. Anyway, guys, that's about it for me. Peace out.
I can never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right, it feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right. It feels right, it feels right. Yeah, I can only say that it feels right.